great thing about a real education is all that you can come to learn about yourself, far beyond what any of the standard systems teach. Most people will not explore a real education because they have been taught to believe or not believe in something, which makes no sense at all and applies to nothing except those who have decided it. For those who dare take the risk and explore where most people will not, they will always find something interesting, and it can also be a dangerous adventure at times. For me, and what I am presenting to the humans on Earth, there are a good number of them who do not want me around. But I would rather live the adventure than cower to a life with my head in the ground. Getting into the real universes is no different than trying to escape from a prison, and so you have to learn to be resourceful and cunning in a particular way. This edge to walk cannot always be explained until you are ready to commit yourself and gain real experience. There are so many areas in life that are far beyond the configurations of what any mind and imagination can conceive. So you must learn to always take the risk and dare yourself to go further. The real you cannot die or be destroyed, but you can lay in many states of ignorance and unawareness for the longest of durations. It is a struggle for all of us to wake up ourselves and become more aware. And with real guidance, it can take place much faster than with many of the ritualistic businesses. The memory body gives a person a balance of sorts to see where they have been and what else might be possible. Of course, you do not want to get too caught up with the identity of what took place in the past, because it is over and done with, just like all those sweet days wearing diapers when our mothers did everything for us. We must each learn to be capable and self-sufficient. Then we have real freedom from all the many lifetimes we have served our purpose trying to find the true reality. There is so much more to life than just finding a nice place to live and be content. There will always be those who do want a home somewhere, but not for me and the boys, as there is always an endlessness to discover. The hardest body to deal with, along with the emotional body, is the mental body. It is like a storehouse of facts and figures, as a simple definition, and once a certain amount of information is stored, you may say that it likes to run itself, even though it knows very little about how to do so. And so, when a person adds their own degrees of ego and other silly attitudes, there becomes a strange mixture and outcome for the person having to deal with themselves. Of course, from the personal view of the personality, everything is justifiable and appears to be workable to where a successful venture will take place. Kind of like bank robbers who have everything so neatly planned. And even if they do get away totally free during this lifetime with their caper, they have already caught themselves with the karmic debt they have incurred. So, the human ego is usually more hot air than anything substantial. The mind of so many is actually very dangerous, as we are all seeing with what is taking place in the world today. Of course, so much of what we are experiencing does appear to be good and sound business ventures, which they can be, but never for the long run, and usually have nothing to do with real freedom at all. The mind is a very small part of the reality of the real you. And until you come to understand this and have real experience with it, then you will be at its mercy with every whim and desire, as an always ongoing maintenance of having to deal with. The mind and emotions of most people are more into the thrill of things than any substantial truth or benefit to itself and even others. All of us care about ourselves, and others to a certain degree, but very few people will take the time to understand real truth and stand in a real position, life itself. The real you is a magnificent being of light, more so than any sun in the sky, and only you can decide to discover this real position hidden within yourself. The last sheath and vehicle all of us have is the etheric body and mind. This apparatus corresponds to the fifth level in the psych realms. It is a strange device all of us must deal with while we are here. It is a vast and many times eerie storehouse of all the attitudes, notions, imaginings, dislikes, likes, desires, passions, hates, and loves that you can conjure up with your real awareness, then emulate with the 5 lower vehicles in the creative realms. And so this is where a real education is very vital to understanding your position within time and space, and how you are mainly the effect of everything you do not want to be. After many lifetimes of dealing with the personal self, you start to look for something real, and eventually the real guides do show up. They can see every person in the psych realms, as they can look right into the intent of a person to see if they are ready to go to new heights with their real awareness. Each generation on the earth provides whatever is available, and for that person who will represent the all is as the new wave, they can only do so much to reach as many people in this particular time frame. The dark forces do not want the new wave here at all, because as people become more aware with the sound and light connection, they start to see more with what is really taking place on the earth and into the psych realms. All of this does sound like a science fiction novel, but the truth is, you, and I do mean you, are living with this place all the time and have not as yet figured out how to overcome and free yourself from your own causes. From the position of the etheric realm is where your insight to your intuition resides, as this is the area that is closest to your real awareness. Your intuition is a broader sense than the mind itself, as it is a more flexible application than that of reason and logic, which are mainly mechanical devices used in the lowest of forms. All of us have access to our intuition, but for the most part, the average person feels more comfortable with the assistance of their mental and emotional concepts and convictions. Each one of us struggle to get outside of our own cocoon, as this is a long and drawn-out process over multitudes of lifetimes, and so for you to let go of all that you have decided so far is a really big task. Your real intent plays the biggest role in your life. Even though you may think it is your mind and all that you desire your life to be, with what I have laid out so far, you now have a glimpse of what is taking place with yourself from everything you are deciding. From the etheric realm, we then enter a huge area that would surely seem as though it is the outskirts and the end of all life as we know it. But it is actually the real risk-taker position, to see if you are ready to actually meet your maker, so to speak. The 6th level, what I term as the deep dark border, is that place in life that all of us must prepare ourselves for when the moment comes for us to cross over into reality. This is always a big step for all of us, because we have been so used to the psych realms, where there is only secondary light and no real light to speak of, plus the fact of all the hidden and unseen aberrations which are lodged in the subconscious from lifetimes of intimidation from the contrived systems of belief and political dictatorship. All of us have been so rehearsed into so many different forms of false ritualism, and this is why most people like the God idea, because they feel so emotionally safe with it, not realizing there is no actual safety with it at all, but only constant danger. As you now step from the deep dark border into the 7th level of being, you have left the mind and all 5 of the lower bodies with their corresponding levels, because they cannot enter reality. Now you are in a real position of true perception, that which is the real you, and beyond that of the stationed intuition, which many psychics are limited to, because they cannot perceive reality, but only those things which pertain to the psychic realms. Everything has its place, and there is a place for everything in life. And so when you have a real education from the real guides, you now have a great advantage over the created particulars of the lower order of things. For those who have the privilege of reaching the real universes, they must always keep to their heart and honor, and clearly understand and see where the power idea takes place. While you still have any of the lower bodies, you are in some ways still at the mercy of the gods of man and the influence. These 2 factors rule the lower domains and must be constantly noted and recognized for how they operate and what their decided functions are. The psych realms are the course that each of us must go through to become free. In the real universes, beyond time and space, there can only be a true nowness of all aliveness, as everything that life is always available. You cannot only think in terms of what you have known and come to experience from what you have gone through during your stay in the lower levels, because it does not properly relate to the true reality, the all is, and what it is providing from a true position of realness. You must learn to be indifferent to what is taking place in the created portions of life, and learn to adapt to a freeness like you cannot even imagine. You are a radiant being of light, so much more so than anything with all the gravity and time and space. The great suns and moons are so small in comparison to the real you, a wondrous radiant being of brilliant light. The way to reach the real universes depends on many things from which you must decide for yourself and to bring them forth. From your reading experience with the Adventure Is series, you will learn the many ways and attributes that are needed for a true completeness with the real you. The new books are to your advantage, so take the time with them and learn a real education. As you stand within the same level and reality of the all is, this real position is the complete isness. That was some of New Book 5 of the Adventure Is series by Dwayne the Great Writer. After all the lifetimes we've been through, if you get to hear some of these words about the new presentation and the projects, it may be time to wake up to what's really going on in life. Find out for yourself. Start with singing the new you, and read the new books, and get involved in the projects. So end the show with the new song that's being offered to connect to the real universes. New you. See ya.